The Arab millionaire's laugh cut through the banquet hall like a blade, sharp and careless. His jeweled cufflinks caught the light as he leaned back in his chair, lips curling into a smirk. He had asked the boy, no older than 19, to repeat what he had just said, certain he had misheard. But the boy, standing stiff in his ill-fitting suit, repeated it without a tremor in his voice. "I speak 11 languages." The guests fell silent for a heartbeat before laughter rippled across the hall. Some chuckled under their breath, others covered their mouths politely, and a few laughed outright, emboldened by the host's scorn. The boy's father, the hotel cleaner, stood frozen at the edge of the room, rag in hand, shame burning in his chest. He had not meant for his son to be dragged into the glare of this gathering. He had only brought him to deliver an envelope, not to be mocked before the wealthy men who ruled the city. But the boy did not flinch. His dark eyes, steady as a flame refusing to be snuffed, met the millionaire's gaze. That silence, unyielding, proud and calm, was what made the millionaire's laughter falter. For beneath the polished arrogance, a flicker of unease stirred. The boy's name was Sami. And though he stood dressed in nothing more than borrowed shoes and a tie that pinched at his throat, his presence carried something that could not be tailored or bought. The smell of soap still clung to his hands, from helping his father scrub the marble floors before the event began. His shoulders bore the quiet strength of years spent working beside a man who asked for nothing but dignity. Sami's childhood had been a battlefield of silence. His mother had died when he was 10, her final days marked by the sterile smell of hospital corridors and the weight of words unspoken. His father, once a schoolteacher in his village, had crossed borders in search of work, trading chalk and blackboards for mops and polish. Sami learned quickly that in the world of the wealthy, his father's bent back and calloused palms were invisible. To the guests at this table, the cleaner was not a man with a story, but a shadow that moved between chairs, clearing crumbs. No one remembered dropping. Yet Sami had carried his father's unspoken dreams like sacred scripture. Every spare moment he found, he buried himself in books left behind by travelers or rescued from bins. The words of strangers became his companions. French novels with frayed edges, Italian poems copied by hand, German newspapers smuggled in by sailors, Russian lullabies translated clumsily in the margins. 11 languages. What none of these laughing men knew was that Sami had spent nights under the flicker of a single bulb, his lips moving silently, shaping sounds from tongues that once seemed foreign. He had no teacher but patience, no wealth but persistence. His accent carried the dust of his journey, but his fluency bore the weight of devotion. The millionaire's mocking voice carried again, louder this time, so all could hear. 11 languages? My boy, if you speak even one correctly, I'll give you the keys to my car. More laughter followed, cruel and careless. Sami's father shifted at the edge of the room, wanting to intervene, but years of servitude had taught him that defiance was dangerous. He bit his tongue until he tasted blood. Sami remained still. He did not argue, did not boast. He only asked in the calmest French if the gentleman preferred the car to be parked outside the main entrance or the private garage. The room hushed. A banker from Paris raised his head, eyebrows knitting in recognition of the accent, clear, precise, elegant. Before the guest could recover, Sami turned and addressed a Turkish merchant in flawless Istanbul dialect, asking if his journey from the Bosphorus had been kind to him. The man, startled, nodded with a smile breaking across his weathered face. It is owed to the humanity that endures quietly, carrying sacrifices we will never see. So as you sit with this story, reflect on the silent strength in your own life, the sacrifices made by hands calloused and unseen, the dignity carried in silence, the unshakable honor that does not need applause. If you felt the weight of this story, share it. Tell us where you are listening from. Share your thoughts, your reflections, and join us for more stories of those who walk silently among us, yet carry the power to humble kings.